Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon. Happy St. Valentine's Day. And we want you to be, well, filled with the love and the joy. And as we start things out, we'll share with you what I refer to affectionately, my very, very good friend. I call him the poet laureate. Well, I know he says through his humbleness, that great humility that he has, that he's not, but hey, he's a great poet. So we started out with that. We got some gift surprises, some fun, some celebration as we invite you to be a part of today's special edition of Valentine's Talk Today. Stay tuned.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And stay tuned, stay close. Make sure that your dial is into Radio Cayman all the time, but especially today. And if you have a friend, someone that you really, really think is special and near and dear to you, and you don't think that they're listening, well, better make sure they are. So I'll give you 2 seconds. Yep, you call them, you message them, tell them to tune in because today is their special day. Well, my good friend, Mr. Leonard Dilbert, thank you very much for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
And thanks to whoever's listening for listening.
Well, it's between my mother.
Hope they continue to listen.
They will, man, because I was thinking, about today, and I won't call myself a hopeless romantic. I wouldn't even say that I'm romantic at all. But I love life.
Yes.
And I remember once in church hearing it, and I heard it again a couple of times. So different churches, different days, different pastors, different denominations. And they talked about, the Bible says, love thy neighbor. And then they would joke and say, didn't say they would liking him. So I do like some people. I love them all.
Okay.
But this is a special day in terms of celebrating the fellowship, the love that people can embrace and have. And, whether you subscribe to, how the Greeks describe love, or whether you like us in the English language and, your love for chocolate is probably as great as your love for your dog.
Well, you gotta be careful with the Greeks, and they had several ways of applying the term, and I won't go there.
Leave that for me later.
That's another study. But yeah, happy Valentine's, everybody, and especially to my nearest and dearest, especially to my beautiful wife, and I say that because, of course, Valentine's has become very romanticized in modern time. I'm not sure that it, in terms of the initial acknowledgement of St. Valentine's, that's initially what it was.
Right.
But there we are. We are where we are. And I had a couple of things I actually wanted to share by way of a specific sort of Valentine's content. But I would mention, since I mentioned my wife, we always had a good time with Elizabeth Barrett Browning and How Do I Love Thee, as well, and others by her, as special in that particular vein. But I chanced upon, and today, this year is the 200th anniversary of the death, I think, of John Keats and Percy Shelley, the famous romantic English poets. And some years ago I chanced upon a poem of Keats that is not particularly well known, but I've always thought of it as being a sort of perfect Valentine's poem. And I wanted to start by sharing that, if I would. It's called Sharing Eve's Apple. Oh, blush not so, oh, blush not so, or I shall think you knowing. And if you smile the blushing while, then maidenhaids are going. There's a blush for won't, and a blush for shan't, and a blush for having done it. There's a blush for thought, and a blush for not, and a blush for just begun it. Oh, sigh not so, oh, sigh not so, for it sounds of Eve's sweet pippin. By these loosened lips you have tasted the pips, and fought in an amorous nipping. Will you play once more at nice cut core, for it will only last our youth out, and we have the prime of the kissing time, we have not one sweet tooth out. There's a sigh for yes, and a sigh for no, and a sigh for I can't bear it. Oh, what can be done? Shall we stay or run? Oh, cut the sweet apple and share it. So that's Keats. I found a scrap of mine that made me think that it could be perhaps consistent with the Valentine's occasion, which I will read immediately. No, right after that. If you're the kind of man, so it doesn't have any title or anything, this is how it goes. Mm-hmm. If you're the kind of man who finds you often can't catch your breath because the woman you're used to sitting with is that beautiful that all your senses keep catching on fire and eating up all the oxygen, I may be writing a poetry of understanding for you, a CPR kind of. Look out for it. Listen. Lively up yourself.
It is something about poetry and poetry emotion almost at times. The metaphors, the sort of vivid illustration at times, and often I'll be guided by you, but often we associate poetry with romance, with a level of, as you said, amor.
Well, yeah, there are all sorts of inheritances that we suffer with, I guess you ought to say. One of the characteristics of our present time, I think, is that we have inherited quite a few things that affect how we live, but without any real consciousness of those things. And if you're not conscious of the things that are affecting your behavior, you can't really do much to address those things. You're, to some extent, a victim of those things. One of them is the idea of romanticization of poetry. Yeah. And even though for the duration of the 20th century in particular, poetry became a very different thing, incorporated many other things in ways that became much more vigorous often than the romantic element. Paul Celan, the famous Romanian/German poet who wrote after the Second World War, famous for having said that basically after Auschwitz, how can you write poetry? And yet people continue to write it because people continue to need it. They continue to need it because I think it is part of what enables human beings to get some comprehension of what we are as a species, to connect to that which is, I suppose, mysterious within our own being, that gives us an understanding or a glimmer of an understanding that there's a larger part to who we are or what we're connected to than what we have an understanding of and a capability of understanding. And somehow or other, if you can use words in the appropriate way, you can establish a bit of a link into that, a bit of a visceral, intuitive understanding or illumination of what that means, if I can use that term. And one of the things I always hope to do is to enlarge upon that by talking about my own project in writing poetry or attempting to to do it. Just to say, by way of a little plug, I will be reading at Red Sky at night on the 29th of February. And an auspicious day, let's call it. Just the fact that it's leap year and it's only occurs every 4 years, the way that we've set up the calendar, which is itself quite a humorous thing to think about. The fact that we think that we can separate time in a way and parcel it out and say, well, this year has another day, and
all because of egos.
Well, whatever it is, I suppose our persuading ourselves that we have some scientific understanding of things that really is in itself a kind of poetry, if you will, to construct that kind of figure of speech almost, that this year has another day. But be that as it may, Red Sky at night, 29th February. And I'm not sure exactly how the format of our setting works, but should I continue?
I was going to ask you, if you
break or
no, if you would, we'll break about 12:30, but we're going to be guided by you.
Okay.
And the notion is that because of the beautiful play of words, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm being overly critical of the English language, the relative weakness of it, so to speak, when it comes to some words, and the way we make it difficult. That one word has so many different connotations. Not so much in the way it's spelled.
Yes,
but
sometimes,
in the way it's said.
Yes,
unlike say other languages, right? But a beautiful.
Well, yeah, I think languages, human language has that in common, and to some extent, because English has become so dominant as a global language, we tend to give it an air of exceptionalism, if you will, that it's exceptional in all sorts of ways, when in fact most languages share those same characteristics, and in fact some languages are more special than English in that they have such extraordinary characteristics that English doesn't have. But be that as it may, the thing about the way language is used, the way a word is said can have a whole lot to do with how it is received, as well as the way people are listening can have a whole lot to do with it. So to navigate the use of language in a way that you choose the right words, put them in the right order, you say them the right way, and right in all cases being conditioned by the sense that you're trying to grasp something and you're trying to convey something that will become as meaningful to the person that you're conveying it to, or persons, as it is to you. And to some extent, the same meaning or same understanding, same illumination that you received yourself. It's quite a task. When it works at its best, I would say that that's what qualifies as poetry. When language is used at its best and is most effective in doing that job. And I remain convinced that it is only by means of accessing some spiritual portal that is beyond the day-to-day human control that becomes possible. People will dispute that possibly. People will say that that may have a specific content, and they claim one content or type of content as opposed to the other. But I think the essential thing has to do with whether that is at its core the right sense or not. I encounter people from time to time who will ask me, what am I up to these days? And sometimes there are people who know that I try to write poetry, and what they're particularly asking, what am I doing with it? Where am I going with it? And let me just read a couple of things that may be partial answers to that question.
You want to read them after the break?
Maybe not a couple of things. Maybe I wait until the break and then I read a couple of
There
things.
you go.
Yeah.
Wow. In radio and television, we call it a teaser. No, cliffhanger in books. All right, when we come back, when I hear the answer, we have at least a dozen prizes for our listeners. So,
Wow.
I don't know when you'll find them. Maybe we'll just take them and share them up amongst the staff. No, just
So
kidding.
if I guess you can't qualify, right?
And we're going to share the love with our listeners today as we embrace, Valentine's Day. And I'm certainly going to be enjoying the wonderful poetry written and read by Mr. Leonard Dilbert. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman will be holding a prostate and colon cancer awareness meeting at the John Gray Memorial United Church Hall in West Bay on Tuesday, February 18th at 7:30 p.m. Free PSA testing will be available along with a presentation by guest speaker Dr. Shillingford. PSA testing will be done by Royal Medical and Wellness Center. For more information on prostate and colon cancer awareness, join the Lions Club of Grand Cayman on Tuesday, February 18th at 7:30 p.m. at the John Gray Memorial United Church Hall in West Bay.
Would you like free roses this Valentine's Day? Buy a gift that can be cherished forever from Island Jewelers. And the roses are on us today. That's right. We'll buy the roses. Spend $350 US at any Island Jewelers and receive half dozen red roses from Celebrations for free. Island Jewelers is located in the Island Plaza under Margaritaville, Camana Bay, the airport, Kimpton Seafire, and Ritz-Carlton. Show her you love her today, forever, and always with Island Jewelers.
Radio Cayman News, live, in-depth team coverage.
A 7.7 magnitude earthquake has occurred.
Fast.
Radio Cayman's Carsley Fuller was one of the first to call in.
I could hear my neighbors across the street saying, whoa, that was a big one.
Accurate.
Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallegos covering the story for us.
Advising there is only a very low risk of a tsunami following this afternoon's earthquake.
If it's happening now, you're hearing it now.
We have had the all clear from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. However, there will be aftershocks.
We've had a very dramatic afternoon, and I know that for a lot of people this has been very frightening.
It does not appear that anyone has been hurt and that we have been spared the worst, what could have been a truly devastating ordeal.
Radio Cayman News, your news as it happens.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us, and please, enjoy the wonderful reading of poetry. Certainly enjoy, if he doesn't mind me sharing, not only the skill, the intellect, but the insight of my very, very good friend, Mr. Leonard Dilbert. There is something about reading and reading poetry in particular, and whether you're in this setting or whether you've gone to one of those, joints where there's open mic. Someone does a song, someone does a poetry reading, there's poetry with music. There is unfortunately a connotation maybe from some of us who haven't participated, maybe from others who do participate. But nonetheless, whether it's Keats, or whether you're just on your own trying to figure out, what, these words, how do they sound? Not to embarrass my son, we were playing around and he is, I don't know what the best word, man, witty. And he's come up with some stuff. I thought, man, it's amazing, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And I think it's language, the power of words.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's funny and fun.
Words, how a power.
Yeah,
and you will recall that the good book says, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Right?
Life and death is in the tongue.
Every word.
Every word.
That's what it says. Every word. And I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I won't try to elaborate on that or enlarge upon that. That speaks for itself in terms of the extent of influence that has had in the global context as we understand it.
Yeah, as I invite you to share what you were going to prior to the break. And thanks for letting us just interject the break there. But you just repeat, man shall not live by bread alone, right?
But by every word.
But by every word
that proceeds out of the mouth of God.
Yeah, and the reason why I say that is that having just listened again, how many times, especially with scripture, but even with other things, we only catch the first part, right?
Well.
And we never take the context. We never go a little bit before and a little bit after.
Well, yeah.
You know?
I was reminded that I'm going to pick a little bit now. Right? I'm going to pick a little bit now because at the prayer breakfast on Wednesday
morning, yeah.
I was received the benefit of an invitation and attended. I suppose halfway through I had to leave for a variety of reasons which I won't go into now, but just to say that I was struck by the choice in reading scripture from Ezekiel. I think it was Ezekiel 18, that the part of the passage, or maybe it was the Psalms, Psalm 6, I think it was. But the thing that was striking about the passage was that the part that was read was a sort of celebratory and sort of praise element.
Mm-hmm.
But the part that came after, which was not read, was the part that spoke to the shortcomings of the people at that point, and what the transgressions that they were responsible for, and so on. And I find that to be something that occurs all too often.
Yeah.
That it's much easier to speak one language than the other. And the language of accountability is the one that is difficult for people to deal with. And it's a nice segue in a way. But I first of all want to say this, interrupt myself to say, I wanted in the initial Valentine greeting to say a special word to the widows in the community. I have been, I suppose, mindful of the position of widows in the community because it strikes me that it is quite a growing community, and it is immediately around me, my mother-in-law, my own mother, younger women who are without their life partner, and I just wonder what Valentine's Day is like for them, and just wanted to say a word of encouragement, a word of love to them. And I jump from that right back to the accountability aspect. On the show with OC this morning, Steve McFeel, my good friend Steve, was on and talking about something. He was talking primarily about the changes in the Constitution, but he diverted a little to talk about decline in civility in the community. He used the example of people disregarding traffic rules and speeding and this type of thing. But he made the point that that sort of decline in our disregard for law can be a slippery slope, and we can quickly find ourselves into a situation of lawlessness, and you have to be mindful of those little changes that can lead to those bigger situations. And I wanted to bring that into the picture because I wanted to again repeat the claim to, I think it was either Shelley or Coleridge, who spoke about poets being the unacknowledged legislators of the world. And that comes back to what we were saying about language, that because poets focus on how language is meaningful to people and how it can move people to think differently and to see differently, they have a way of speaking to people in their own language, if you will, that can persuade them potentially to behave differently from how they might otherwise have behaved. And there's the political mission that is inherent in poetry is something that I embrace wholeheartedly, and it is partly because of my concern with my sense of mission in to be a witness for the life of this community, for the changes in this community, for what prospects there might be in life for this community. And that's where when the question comes to me where I'm going with the poetry, I tend to respond a little bit flippantly, but it quickly becomes much more serious, and say it's a matter of where the poetry is taking me, and I thank them for the opportunity to answer them, because this is a platform that, as long as it exists, as long as it's not knocked from under me by the money or the politics, which is, in our case, all too often the same thing.
One and the same.
And becoming more and more the same thing.
Yeah.
And to say that there's that sense of witness, there's a sense of writing in a way that I hope is true, and that truth may frighten some people, it may sicken some people to hear it said in certain ways, but it may embolden some people in ways that they never thought possible. It may not do the job that they wanted to do. It will not set them free. At least not without a good dose of the thing that Emily Dickinson referred to as the thing with feathers, which is hope. And I hope that the poetry I write, the poetry could get some of that from, that you can see through things in a way. So, a couple of quick descriptions of what I'm trying to do. Suppose this is it then. Suppose this is, as some people claim, a foretaste of paradise, this life we're living. And we've been given the keys to the kingdom. What then must we do? How are we to be? Should we not be writing a poetry to ask this kind of question? And I reflect on the scale of ambition that we ought to now have as Caymanians. And I suspect that there will be challenges to that claim about the ambition that we ought to have. But I would describe it as being, in part, to create a foundational language, a freedom-making form of speech. What I hear being used by those who are in leadership positions, and particularly public leadership positions, I'm sorry, but it is disappointing. From the point of view of enabling people, of giving people the kind of language that they will need to forge a future as a free people, it doesn't cut it. There are dynamics and difficulties of giving voice to a whole culture. It has to have elements of fairy tale, elements of epic, elements of mythology, ontology, what the Germans call Gesellschaft and Gemeinschaft. Way of being, your entire way of being has to be reflected in the way that your leaders speak to you, or else you have no sense of direction, no sense of where it is you ought to go and how you ought to go there. If you're going to do it in a virtuous way, in a way that is going to be enlarging the scope of freedom for generations to come. We are now looking at situations of segregating schools by race and class.
Economics as well as ethnicity.
Race and class.
Yeah.
That's race
and
class. Class is your economics.
Yeah.
Okay?
So economics and ethnicity, as people understand that.
So if people take offense at that, I invite them to go and visit the schools and see what they see.
Yeah. Listen. Yeah.
And see what they see. And see whether this is satisfactory. Whether being led into that kind of reality is what we want to countenance. Or we want to question whether this is the way to do it. We want to demand that it ought to be better than that. We deserve better than that. We need better than that. I was going to put out a teaser. I was going to put out a teaser for the Red Sky Night attendance by saying, why did you come to Red Sky? And then I'll give you some tips about the next year's election.
Yeah. I'll actually even be more provocative say the next election, but I won't. I'll get in trouble for that.
Yeah, well, that's the next election next year. It's people always say, well, we're in serious times. This is the most important election and so on. And in a way, they're right every time.
Every time.
Right?
Yeah.
But some serious choices have to be made. And I will venture to say that one of those choices can be better informed if you pay attention to the language that people use. And that is a large part of why I try to hammer at what the use of language really entails and what it amounts to when you say something. What does it mean when you say something? Right? What is that sound that you say that you're pronouncing? Yeah. Right? What is it? Where is it that you're leading people? What is it that you want them to hear? What is it that you want them to believe? How do you want them to behave? And I'm disappointed. I'm going to tell you, I'm sorely disappointed. I'm many times angry because we can do better. We need to do better.
With that, then, if I can ask, specifically with poetry, my initial sort of introduction on a personal level, when I would read it, early days of school, it was rhyme and sort of stuff.
Yes, what I call the end rhyme and iambic pentameter. Yeah. It's wonderful in its way, right?
Right.
But does it serve our purposes at the moment? We, the whole idea of bringing the land the time forgot, the country the time forgot. It's a difficult concept. We're not forgotten.
Yeah,
we're here. We are part of the global community. The problem is that we're part of the global community in a very segmented kind of fashion, in a very, in a way that is very isolating, because we don't take part in the global conversation in a real sense of being on the cutting edge of the developments that will address our needs at this point in time. If you talk about the post-colonial conversation now, people will begin to raise an eyebrow or worse, when in fact that is very much a part of where we ought to be. Brexit is going to slam us right in the face unless we pay attention to that kind of conversation. And that is the kind of conversation that can enable us, that can equip us with the tools that we need, with the language that we need. Otherwise, we walk into the room and we have no idea what people are even talking about, let alone how to navigate the conversation. And I think poetry can assist us if it awakens in us the ability to, the need to understand the language that is being fed into our ears and how to penetrate that language and to ask questions of the people using that language. What did you really mean by that? What are you really saying to me?
If I then can ask that, as we look at it, and the arts in particular, arts in general, but poetry in particular, language can help us. Guy Fawkes, for instance, right? Remember, was it the 5th of November? Right? And the notion that I wonder at times if, as a people, increasingly, if it's not deliberate by the invisible hand, the powers that be, to make sure certain things no longer become, sort of on the table for consumption and discussion.
Well, I'm not a great fan of the conspiracy.
No.
In terms of that whole deliberate thing.
Yeah.
But I think people become victims of what they inherit, and they are not able to rise above it and to understand that this is what is making me act this way. Unless I am able to see it for what it is, put it at a distance, look at other things that are involved, other things that it can possibly be brought to bear, equip myself to tackle that and to rise above it. I remember asking about a certain colleague when I was in the civil service, and he had been promoted to a really elevated job. The question is the job going to shrink to fit the size of this person? Or is this person going to make the job enlarge? Is this person going to enlarge himself in order to fit what the job ought to be? Right? And that is the kind of dichotomy that we have to take into account with our leaders. Are we going to shrink what we expect of them to fit who they are? Or are we going to demand of them that they grow to the scope of what a job ought to be? Right? And I think is the latter that we ought to be aiming at.
Yeah.
Since I'm here for poetry, maybe I should read a poem. Should I read a poem?
Would you?
Yes.
Leonard Dilbert is going to be reading at Race Sky at night, but he reads now.
Well, I'm going to read a couple of things very quickly. One more topical and one maybe a bit more abstract. But if you look hard enough, it relates. The first one being the more abstract one, called Is Poetry the Beast?
Is poetry the beast? Oh.
Is poetry the beast or am I? Which of us ought to be tied down? Which of us would be better locked down with bread and water, with our chew bone or salt lick? Is poetry the beast or am I? Which one of us knows what it feels like to be poor, to have less, to have not enough, to drink bile and sleep with it riding your stomach with no hope of waking up to better? Is poetry the beast or am I? Which of us will be first? If there's a spirit monster eating the hearts of our children, which of us will be first to drive a salvific nail through its forehead? Will the poem be the first to dare, or will I, to guess the number of breaths each of us will get after this one? The poem goes on and on about his lungs like oceans. I say, okay, I just got lungs like iron shore, so beat me soft, pick me clean, find my weak spots to undermine, to pool in. The poem says it knows for a fact it must not concern itself about its own meaning. I say, okay, I know that. I did once, but then I didn't. There's been all this erosion recently around the foundation, down to the bedrock of my intuition. The acids that flow when you can't think of, for trying to imagine what this one and that one will think, and if they have the power to burn. Never see a mouth champion sweep in, swallow the pretending poem whole, swallow the conch shell and all, spit out the pieces, saying, people, make what you will of them hieroglyphics. If I didn't know better, I'd say it was that the poem hated me, is just waiting for me to die, to inherit its real meaning, for it to be interpreted. If I didn't know better, I'd say the poem is a lie. Every bit of it is SH1T talk, is rum talk, never to be trusted. But the poem looks back at me like a man who's had his first heart attack with that stunned patience, that newfound sense of colour, of taste, of sound. Well, I know, kind of. My head just gets heavier. I just sit here sometimes, not quite touching ground, but for one magnetic big toe. Put my hand on my heart and wait for the poem, the way of a servant who waits for his master, the way of a master who will not do without his servant.
See, that's the thing with poetry. The metaphors, the pensiveness, but the sort of introspective approach, the teasing and the questioning, sometimes the deliberate asking. But how many times do we miss what is being said because we no longer listen?
Aye. Well, I wanted to say I hope there's an audience at Red Sky. One of the things that I kept finding preoccupying my mind as I look forward to today and then to Red Sky at night was the question of whether there is an understanding in this community of the relationship that would be best to exist between the poet and the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me that we can probably answer that by saying that is largely unexplored territory, that it is yet to take shape. That one of the things I hope for is to have an audience that can begin to help shape what that relationship ought to be, so that when you read, when you present, when you write something and publish it or whatever, there can be an emergence of an audience, and audience being the co-author of the work, because you use the language, but the language is only meaningful, obviously, if it is something that is shared between people. It has no meaning otherwise. And so if you begin to use a language that nobody else understands, then it has no use, right? So I hope for an audience, partly with that in mind, partly because of the urgency of developing that relationship. And the urgency really comes back to that same thing about how do we pay attention to the language swirling around us, whether it's from the international media, which is inundating us constantly, and how do you pick our way between that fact and fiction. Don't have time now to dwell on what the implications of that might be, but I could give a good example right off the bat. Pay close attention to the statement made by William Barr, the former Attorney General of the United States at this point in time.
Yeah.
It's not all that it seems. That's all I want to say. Okay? But before I go, can I just read one I think topical thing, which I'm going to leave it to people to interpret what it means, as always. But I use the term the sea pig, and I think from the context, if you listen, as you were saying a while ago, if you listen closely, you understand what the sea pig is. Not that I'm being coy, because I have my position as far as the whole cruise ship business is concerned, all that, but this may tell you something else in a somewhat humorous way. The sea pig. Who will drink the milk of the sea pig? Drinkers of the milk are now chattering like denizens of Babel town. Oh, tell them the sea pig's milk will turn caustic and cause carbuncle cheeks. The sea pig eats its bed of propeller ground coral and washes down with spilled diesel. The sea pig eats its weight in plastic netted seagrass, gorging the struggling wavy greens like lettuce heads. Who will drink the milk of the sea pig? Thank you for having me here, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for accepting the invite and for joining us, and for us to be reminded the beauty and the power of language, but the need for communication to be about listening as much as about talking.
Yes, and obviously you can have fun.
And you can have language is powerful. Well, I may invite you to enjoy the rest of today and the weekend.
Thank you.
And I trust that our paths will continually converge to great things to the benefit of our society.
We hope to be a part of great things.
Amen.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Leonard Dilbert. We'll be at the Red Sky at Night on 29th, reading his poetry, but as he's extended invitation, join the festivities as we celebrate our culture.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to pause and take a break, but when we come back, we do have some other things in store for you, including sharing the love, inviting you to be a part of the prizes that we have assembled. We'll tell you what they are after the break. So we would like to say thanks and to show our love. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on Island.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access. Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. The Ministry of Culture announces a compromise in the carnival battle. Moving forward, officials say we will see a unified Cayman Carnival from May 9th to May 18th, which will be comprised of an opening parade on May 9th, produced by the Batamanou Committee, Brac Parade on the 16th of May, produced by the Brac Canal Committee, and closing parade on the 18th of May, produced by KMAS. In international news, a U.S. senior official said today that the U.S. and the Taliban have reached a truce agreement that could take effect very soon and could lead to withdrawals of American troops from Afghanistan. The official said the agreement for a 7-day reduction in violence, to be followed by the start of all Afghan peace talks within 10 days, is very specific and covers the entire country, including Afghan government forces. There were indications a formal announcement could come as early as the weekend. A government helicopter was shot down and its crew killed today in Syria's northwest, where a military offensive against opposition fighters is unfolding. That according to a Syrian military official and activist. Turkey-backed opposition fighters claimed responsibility for downing the gunship, saying it was targeted in response to the Syrian army's indiscriminate targeting of civilians. Videos posted online show a helicopter spiraling downward from the sky, with flames trailing behind as onlookers cheer. And an earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 4.8 shook Greece's southern Aegean Sea islands today. Officials say no damage or injuries were reported. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Red Sky at Night. Terrific live music, actors, dancers, comedians, and poets. Over 100 artists and artisans selling paintings, crafts, jewelry, and accessories, as well as delicious local food. Red Sky at Night at the Harquail Cultural Center. Saturday, February 29th, 4 p.m. to midnight. Don't miss out. Tickets on sale now at eventpro.ky. A CNCF production. Sponsored by Hurley's Media, Pepsi, Caribbean Airlines, and Radio Cayman.
Dominion Life Global Ministries invites you to their first anniversary prophetic convention. Theme, I Must Recover. February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall, featuring Apostle Joseph Jogona, Thursday and Friday, 7 until 9:30, and Sunday, 1 until 3:30, with an elegant Valentine's soiree on Saturday the 15th. If you need more information on the convention or to purchase tickets to the soiree, call 326-0744. The Dominion Life Global Ministries first anniversary convention, February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall.
2020 means perfect vision. And if you have your sights set on driving a new hybrid, then the time is now to check out the new RAV4 and CHR. Just two of the many hybrid models that Vamped is bringing to Cayman. Whether you're looking for a smoother and quieter way of driving or want a car that maximizes fuel efficiency while minimizing emissions, there are lots of ways a new hybrid from Vamped can make the difference in your life. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries without being plugged in. So focus your 2020 vision on a new hybrid from Vamped Motors, and we will see you through. Come to Vamped, home of the hybrid, located on Walkers Road.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to share, our genuine appreciation to you, to our listeners, and we're going to do it in every way we can to make you feel welcome and invited, loved, as it were. All right, so let's go to our phones first and off. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you today? Happy Valentine's, if I may offer that.
Happy Valentine's too. I was listening to you and Mr. Gilbert.
I tell you what, I call him the poet laureate. Hope he doesn't take that, but man, he's a gifted gifted gentleman. So.
But I actually have something to say to him.
Okay, now he has. I was only be able to stay, but I'm hopefully until 1. But hopefully he's listening on the radio. So if not,
Okay.
I'll deliver it to him for you.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you that, he reads a lot of poetry, and I get to enjoy all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll leave it to your listeners to know who's talking. But, I'm not looking at life through rose-colored glasses or anything, and all the stuff you talked about is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And this week is actually the 75th anniversary of the bombing of Dresden, which is a horrible, horrible thing when basically the whole city was incinerated. And, we can think about this, we can listen to the news and, all the problems. But, yeah, it is Valentine's Day, and we have to look at what the answer to all this is. So I am going to read you a poem from Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Or say a poem, which I already said to him already today, but I'll say it again on the air. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depths and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight, for the ends of being an ideal grace. I love thee to the level of everyday's most quiet need by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with a passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with a love I seem to lose with my lost saints. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. And if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death.
Wow. That's touching.
I just leave that with you and wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day.
Okay, well, can I, if you would allow me just a second? You didn't know this, our listeners didn't know it, and only because for a while I kept it to myself, right? For today's program, we had decided that we were going to invite the listeners to share something with us, and we were going to decide amongst ourselves, and maybe now I'll invite the public, because of what you just read, to maybe weigh in what they hear today, to vote on what they think was sort of the best expression of love, however define it. You've just set the bar high, if you wish, to allow me to, because that is not just sincere and genuine touching, but the emotion and the passion, the truth that emanated from that. I won't embarrass the fellow who's sitting across from me, but even him, you could see the tears in his eyes, as he welled up, thinking, wow, this is love, man. So maybe you'll be an example to us.
He already made me cry today, but that's okay.
Well, blessings to you.
Champagne and celebrate it, so that's okay.
Amen, amen. Well, blessings to you all, and happiness of health and celebrations always.
And lots of love to you all.
Thank you. And this is why one of the other reasons I love this place, the ease with which, if we so choose, we can publicly share, good, bad, or indifferent. And today being, a day that some of us, perhaps only because we have become enamored with the trappings of the marketeers and the like, and we may see it in one way. We may have been sort of pilled by our PTAs and find a way to monetize the day amongst the schools. Teach his own. So may I invite you, first off, to share with us what you've either witnessed or you have done that you think shows the greatest expression of love as you define it, as you know it. Now, we do have a number of prizes that we would like very much to share with you. Another reason I do not like the cameras in my studio, because I'm going to be, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for doing that. Forgive me for doing what I'm doing. I'm going to put some of the gift certificates out and about on the thing so I can have a reference to what they are. But we have prizes that we would like to share with you. We have gift certificates from Le Classique. We have gift certificates from Reflections. We have gift certificates from Lucky Slice and, Cayman Creperie, and the like over there at Bay Shore. That's a wonderful, wonderful setting up there on the terrace. It has a building. What's the name? It's the Kirk building there on the waterfront. I should probably know that place name. It looks so beautiful up there. Bay Shore Mall, I think it's called. We have gift certificates from Lawrence Restaurant, and we have from Water and the Elephant, and of course from a place that many I know close to me enjoy. I call them Picos, but apparently there's no S. Maybe just a West Bay thing. Pico. You go there and you get your thing, and Miss Kim and the entire team there are, amazing. So we want to share them with you. But you tell us, would you like to play along and celebrate? So, why, on behalf of Lake Classic, as we share the first gift certificate, call in. Tell us, please, what have you either witnessed or you've done that you've said, this is probably a great or your greatest expression of love. Now, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You may say, I remember once seeing a little old lady, and man, her yard was perhaps just getting overgrown because she couldn't find the time to go, and a few of us unsolicited in the early hours of the morning, we went in like elves and quickly, cut the yard, trim the weeds and all the things that you do. And when she came out at the sun up, she could see, wow. Or it may be that your long lost love, like two ships in the night, you never were able to cross paths, and despite the advent of technology and you were able to speak, the time zones made it impossible. So one, on a whim, said, my career may be in jeopardy, but I can't be without my heartstring. And so you hop the flight and you travel extensively and counting all sorts of obstacles and delays, and the less than hospitable nature of the travel that we may experience sometimes, only to arrive to find that had you been a few seconds late, you'd have missed the special one, because the special one was equally thinking of doing the same thing. And there you found each other in a warm embrace, and well, whatever. I don't know. That may be the makings of a movie. It might even be a movie. So, would you share with us? And compliments of Le Classique will offer up to you a $50 gift certificate. Not bad, huh? Well, thanks to Miss Donna over there. You want to share us, your sort of expression of love. Now, you can do it in song. You can do it in poetry. You can just tell us in a story. Again, it can be your definition of, how you would define love. Now, our good DJ, Mr. Paul Akal, do you think you would be so courageous to pop into the mic and share some thoughts with me? I mean, it's Valentine's Day, Let me ask you a question. When you think of Valentine's, let me put you on the spot. Do you see it as partners, or do you see the love as being amongst friends? Is it love in the community, or is it the sort of the romantic love, as it were? Or when you think of love and you think of Valentine's, is your definition, like many of us, sort of narrowly defined, or is it more encompassing?
Dwayne, to tell you the truth, Valentine's Day to me is just another day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not moved by the gestures of the day. I mean, I do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
I show my wife love every day. I do a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
So today is just a day to make you, I don't know, just go a little extra and, just being a little more romantic or anything like that. But it doesn't really move me that much.
Okay. So,
but, yeah.
Yeah. So you would say then for you, Valentine's, if you were to look at love, it's just another day to show love.
Extra love.
Extra love. And it doesn't matter how you define that. It could be, taking your children and give them an extra hug. Maybe walking them to school if that's something that you could do but wouldn't do because of rush. You know what? I call the boss. I come in late because we could walk to school. Or I am the boss. You know what? You guys come in a little bit late today. Just like that. Just be a little extra loving, as it were.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do people think? Now, the notion, for some, the idea of Valentine's being this thing, right? And I'm trying to find a couple of little jokes that a few have sent, and one in particular struck me. So if I can find what she sent me, I thought it was amazing. The Valentine's Day, should be designated as the International Day of, you should have made reservations a month ago day. Because if you're waiting today to make reservations to go to dinner, right, you're kind of late, you know what I mean? But we approach it in so many different ways. And I wonder how we see it. But as you said, you never know what tomorrow will bring, so show love today.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well,
we're getting a call.
We're getting a call?
Yeah.
All right, well, when we do get the call, let me know. Just Good afternoon, how are you?
They hung up.
They hung up?
Yeah.
You must have heard me say something, man. I like how language, I would have said, we got a call, but you say we're getting a call. So good afternoon.
Probably another person calling back. Yeah, let's see who we got.
Let's see who it is. Good afternoon, welcome, how are you?
It's gone again.
Yeah.
Maybe we have some technical difficulties.
You think so, man? You think it's not one of these things happening again in the system? All right. Well, 949. That was 2 attempts, and they said 3 times the charm. Unless you're like Elizabeth Taylor and 7 times in a marriage. I don't know how many times she's been married. 949-8037. 1-800-534-8255.
What about you, Dwayne? I mean, what's Valentine's Day to you? Let me put you on the spot.
You know what? I should expect that from you, of all people. What does Valentine's mean to me? I'll be honest with you. It isn't special, like you shared. I don't do anything in particular for that day, and probably because if you go out to dinner, you got a fixed menu. I like to have choice. You pay more for what it would have cost you the other day. So economically, just kidding. Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. You want to talk today?
Hi there, you're speaking to Mario.
Hey, how are you, sir? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Can't complain.
Man, I am glad to hear people who are so gracious. Trust you have a wonderful weekend as well, huh?
Oh, yeah. Hope so. Definitely hope so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, talk to me, man. Valentine's today?
Oh, yeah, just listening to the show today. In general, I think for the day that we are having, it is just key to celebrate those that love you and obviously those that you love in return. And for me, and especially like those loved ones that are far away, I mean, being an expat, we have like our kids in our family that are so far away. And, these days we remember them a lot more, especially not being able to be with them. And even loved ones that are abroad too. So for me and the love that's shared today, it's been a really great thing, and I just would like to share those comments. My apologies for such a day, I guess.
Thank you, and I appreciate you sharing that, because I think sometimes we get so caught up in it just being a day, and it may resonate with some that all of a sudden it's a Friday as well, and maybe we're not working tomorrow, and we miss those loved ones, our parents, our spouse, our children. That very special friend who for some reason, we miss out even more because they're so far away at different time zones, thousands of miles.
Correct.
What would you say then to us who are listening, that as we go about today, beyond the chocolates and the flowers and whatever else that we believe is the market employ, how do we show that love that it continues tomorrow, the day after, and the like?
For me, I think a lot of people don't get to see the great sacrifices we either make as loved ones, and I mean, I'm a father of 2 kids and they are in South Africa, and it's a great sacrifice to have come here, and out of love and out of compassion for my kids and for their future, to not be with them pretty much for a whole entire year is a great sacrifice, and I think a lot of people don't get to see that love that we have for our kids and our family, for coming to such a good place. So for me, I think sacrifice along with the love and the care that we show for people. They might not see it on a day-to-day basis, but to me, on a day like this, it's always good to just obviously share that.
Thank you so much, man. And if you would be so inclined, could we not say, enjoy your special day, show the love? Would you stay on the line, and we would like to present to you a gift certificate from Le Classique?
Thank you so much.
All right. The gentleman there will take your details. If he calls you after 9, just let me know. Just kidding. He'll give you all the details, but he'll take your particulars, and the gift certificate will be here. at our studio. It's an original, so please collect it. But just stay on the line and congrats again and enjoy the love, man. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's go to the other line though. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yeah, I'm glad for this opportunity because I really wanted to, for a long while now, just give shout out, love and appreciation to all of the staff at ASHA, all the doctors, nurses, and everyone there, the people out, the pharmacists and everybody there. Sometimes they get a lot of bad name, but I don't have nothing bad to say about them, but love and appreciate them for all the service that they're offering to the people of the Cayman Islands. And just let them know that someone is listening, that they're loved and that they're appreciated for all the hard work that they do.
Oh,
that's my great
No, hey, thank you for that, because they perhaps go unappreciated. Hopefully not too often. Hopefully it won't happen at all. If it does, they probably get the brunt of our frustration, whether we come in there and not recognizing that sometimes we don't know what is transpiring, and they have to endure it.
Especially the staff in emergency.
In the ER.
Yeah. So shout out to them and blessings.
Yeah, man. But thank you for that. And now, could we also offer you a gift certificate for Le Classique for showing your love to them? Would that be fine?
That'll be fine too.
All right. Well, congratulations and thanks for sharing the love. With that, let DJ Paul take your information. As usual, please come on by at your convenience to Radio Cayman. We will ask you for ID, and we won't ask you for chocolate this time.
Okay.
And collect your gift certificate at your convenience when we're open. All right.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Hey, we sharing the love. More calls online, Mr. Paul. Well, let's ask another question. Let's start with fun. You think it's fun? You tell me. If you don't think it's fun, okay. So here's a very corny one. At least that's what the fella sent it to me to say he thought. But let's start with this one. He said, if you would say, why does love need sunglasses and a cane? Why does love need sunglasses and a cane? First little sort of question to ask of you. And if you answer it, well, we'll decide what we're going to do. But we do have, as we share, some wonderful little ways to maybe have a little bit of fun. And certainly, as much as we would love to always show our love and appreciation for your loyalty and your listening, well, let's just say it. So, just a quick little answer. When Mr. Fox ready, we'll go to the phones when you call and answer. The question is, why does love need sunglasses and a cane? That's C-A-N-E. Now, that's how I say it. You may repeat the question and say that it's pronounced differently. Answer that for me. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hi, Sterling. Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's. How are you?
I don't know what to say about that answer, but for me right now, maybe I need the sunglasses and a cane because, because guess what? I used to be out volunteering for the Red Cross, but because of I have an eye issue going on for a couple of years, I'm not able to do so, I used to like to go out and help elderly people in the neighborhood, but because I have an eye situation going on, I'm not able, so I'm just stuck at one place, so maybe I would need a walking stick and the sunglasses to walk out.
So that is, isn't that challenging? You give so much and then you'll be impacted by it.
I'm still pretty young, but that's how it goes,
Yeah, man. And life is, how then, to those who are listening, how then do you always keep your head up, as it were, your chin up and you move, you won't predict.
I just keep the faith and pray, I get a lot of prayer, so that's what keeps me,
Yeah, man. Prayer sustains, huh?
Prayer is the key, and faith.
Yeah, man. But then the scripture reminds us, faith without works is dead. So as much as we pray and have the faith, we have to be prepared to follow God's will and do the work of His hand, right?
Right.
Yeah, man. All right, well, I know blessings are coming our way, and you will too. As you have given, you will receive, huh?
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm not giving up.
No, man. Press on and press in, all right?
Yeah.
All right, blessings to you. All right, let's pick up the line. Here's a quick attempt. We got a bunch of gift certificates and a bunch of questions to ask. So let's do this one first. Why does love need sunglasses and a cane? Anybody? Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Sterling,
Yes, Mom.
this is me now, right?
Yeah, it is you indeed. Yes.
I may sound a little kind of muffled, but that's a hoarseness is right there. But I say go plenty of love.
There you
And
go.
Sterling, I would need the glasses to be able to see where you got to go.
True. Yeah. Sometimes.
That's what I mean. They got to have the cane too, right?
Yeah.
I know what that lady gave part of my answer. But this is my first thought that I had when I heard you talking about it. Love, and in the community, you remember that you use that word, community. A certain time in the year, each year, or pretty much each year, I give from the heart. And when I say heart, I mean things that I do with my hands. And I guess you know what that is.
Yes, well.
Yeah. I haven't done it now for the last couple, but I've been doing so kind of regular, especially when it was, I guess you realize or thinking of what kind of, let me the word is now. Let me see, I can't find the word right now. Okay, it's something that happens in December. Something that happens in December, and a whole big gathering gets together, and then like I say now, I give from the heart with my craft work, right?
You're right.
I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, well.
Okay, yeah, and I do that not just to say I'm doing so, but I'm doing it to spread the love.
Spread the love, share the love, right?
Yeah,
right.
and to know they come from the heart and the hands too.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, it
So
has
where
to come.
where you got for me now?
Right now, no, not a thing just yet, because, but I'll get there for you. All right.
You get there for me?
Yeah, we'll see where it comes. But thanks for playing along. Let me see if this ex caller though has the answer to that one. We do have it on the WhatsApp, so let's try it because we got a couple more to ask. So we're good to the phones. Good afternoon, welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Not bad, Sterling. Sterling, it's an easy answer.
Yeah, man.
Love is blind.
Love is blind?
Yep.
Yeah. My friend says, it's deaf, dumb, and stupid too.
Yeah.
All right. So when he sent me this one, he says, start with that one. No prizes, just see how people respond because, when you think about it, isn't love that way? Like justice, later justice should be blind, right?
Right. From you said it, I would say love is blind.
Love is blind, man. Love is blind. All right. Well, thanks, and I want you to call back because we're going to pose another question in a second. And for this one, we like to offer up a prize, a gift certificate, right? So stay close by and answer up these next questions, all right?
All right, cool.
Thank you, man. Thank you. With that, though, let me try one more. And with that, Mr. Fox, as we go to the phones, good afternoon and welcome. How are you?
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Oh, someone beat me again with because love is blind, especially on Valentine's Day.
There you go. Well. Listen now. The question that we want to ask for the prize, right?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this one, sir?
I'll try.
Okay. So it says, so what do relationships have in common with algebra? And this one, we have a prize for this one. So what do relationships...
The equation has to be equal, both sides of the equal sign.
But, man, you see, I shouldn't ask him what is intelligence as because I now need to go back to committed and find out that's an acceptable answer, because the answer we're given...
In other words, both sides of the relationship have to be equal give and take.
Give and take.
Yeah.
Boy, you see that? Boy.
Algebra, remember the overriding principle in algebra is the equation has to be equal on both sides.
That is true, I see now you're technical, you're scientific, you're mathematical, and you're intelligent. Mr. Fox.
Yeah, that's 50 cents. I'll buy a cup of coffee.
Well, we have a gift certificate, right, from Lucky Slice for you. All right. We'll make sure that we have that one reserved for when you come by.
Yeah, man, no problem.
All right.
Have a good day, man.
Blessings to you, man. Blessings to you.
All right, okay.
Okay, good. All right. Mr. Fox, we got some more calls online. All right. We have one more attempt at that same question for a a gift certificate from Lucky Slice as well, right? It says, what do relationships have in common with algebra? All right, you want to, yeah, all right, okay. And for our listeners, we want to get your particulars and the like for you. While you think of that answer, right, here's one that a friend said you have to do, in the West Bay accent, and apparently he thinks that I can pull it off somewhat, right? He says, what's the most romantic part of the ocean? And he says it's when, the boy, but as he would say, the boy meets the girl. But if you're West Bay, it'll be, when the boy meets the girl. So the B-U-O-Y meets the G-U-L-L. Now, as he sent me the voice message, man, it's much funny listening to him say, but I guess he thinks that he can imitate us West Bayers. We'll see. We're going to pause and take a break. And I'm going to ask another little question. Have you share some of your times with you? And for a gift certificate with the compliments of Lucky Slice over in Bayshore, up there on that wonderful terrace. We also have some from, Reflections. We have Pico, we have Water and Elephant, and we have Lawrence that we want to give away to you as well. So the question, answer it for us. We'll get you a gift certificate. It says, what do relationships have in common with algebra? The gentleman prior answered the question, certainly, but we have another answer that we're looking for as well. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Your favorite family fun day is back. The 53rd Annual Agriculture Show at the Stacey Watler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Theme, Agriculture for the Future. Ash Wednesday, February 26th. Family fun for everyone. Acrobatic show, cooking competitions, produce, plants, pony ride, petting zoo, rodeo, and so much more. Gates open at 7 a.m. with ample parking. General admission is only $10. Children ages 2 through 11, $5. And under 2 are free. Or buy your raffle ticket including entrance fee for a chance to win $20,000 and so much more. For more information, visit them on Facebook or 345agriculture@gmail.com. Put down your iPad and get back to your roots at the 53rd Annual Agricultural Show, February 26th in Lower Valley.
Dominion Life Global Ministries invites you to their first anniversary prophetic convention. Theme, I Must Recover. February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall, featuring Apostle Joseph Jogona, Thursday and Friday, 7 until 9:30, and Sunday, 1 until 3:30, with an elegant Valentine's soiree on Saturday the 15th. If you need more information on the convention or to purchase tickets to the soiree, call 326-0744. The Dominion Life Global Ministries first anniversary convention, February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall.
Do you think my kid is not into that? When it comes to marijuana and other drugs, well, think again. Being a teen in this country isn't easy. They face a lot of pressures and might overlook the values you taught them. Even the teen least expected can be tempted to try drugs. As a parent, you are the biggest influence in your kids' lives. So when you're talking to them, be clear and firm about the subject of drugs. Listen to them. They might be at a crossroad and need your help. Talk to your teens about drugs before someone else does. For more information, call 949-9000 or visit us at www.ndc.ky. This message is brought to you by the National Drug Council.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Get ready for the King Sports Center one-day Valentine's sale.
Let's go.
2-for-1 membership and personal training. It's not too late to get that New Year's resolution started. And what better way than with your partner? Whether it's your hubby, your bestie, or your buddy, the Valentine's sale is for you. 2 memberships for only $750 and 2 personal training sessions for the price of 1. King Sports Center. One-day sale, February 14th. For more information on their variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky, or you can visit kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Yeah. Show your home some love this Valentine's Day with a big Valentine's appliance sale at Brand Source Home Gallery. Save up to 30% on top brands like Samsung, LG, Beko, GE, Fisher & Paykel, and Frigidaire. Hurry now because these savings are only good this week, the 10th through the 15th. You will love the savings and the look of your fresh new appliances. Save up to 30% on appliances this week only at Brand Source Home Gallery in Industrial Park on Dorsey Drive. Call 623-5000 for more information.
Would you like free roses this Valentine's Day? Buy a gift that can be cherished forever from Island Jewelers. And the roses are on us today. That's right. We'll buy the roses. Spend $350 US at any Island Jewelers and receive half dozen red roses from celebrations for free. Island Jewelers is located in the Island Plaza under Margaritaville, Camana Bay, the airport, Kimpton Seafire, and Ritz-Carlton. Show her you love her today, forever, and always with Island Jewelers.
Dominion Life Global Ministries invites you to their first anniversary prophetic convention. Theme, I Must Recover. February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall, featuring Apostle Joseph Jogona, Thursday and Friday, 7 until 9:30, and Sunday, 1 until 3:30, with an elegant Valentine's soiree on Saturday the 15th. If you need more information on the convention or to purchase tickets to the soiree, call 326-0744. The Dominion Life Global Ministries first anniversary convention, February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall.
Get ready, gamers, for 6 weeks of non-stop competitive action. The Cayman Islands Esport Association is proud to announce the first ever FIFA E-League. Starting February 1st. Compete for the gold on FIFA 20 for the PS4 every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Bodden Town Civic Center. Sign up today at CaymanEsports.org. Competitor fee is just $75 and includes your own jersey and swag bag. Spectators are free, so come out and enjoy the world of esports. Proudly sponsored by Gamers Bay, NetGeeks Media, CUC, Kimpton Seafire, and the Cayman Islands Youth Services Unit.
The FIFA E-League is also sponsored by Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman News, live, in-depth team coverage.
A 7.7 magnitude earthquake has occurred.
Fast.
Radio Command's Carsley Fuller was one of the first to call in.
I could hear my neighbors across the street saying, whoa, that was a big one.
Accurate.
Radio Command's Shanda Gallegos covering the story for us.
Advising there is only a very low risk of a tsunami following this afternoon's earthquake.
If it's happening now, you're hearing it now.
We have had the all clear from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. However, there will be aftershocks.
We've had a very dramatic afternoon, and I know that for a lot of people this has been very frightening.
It does not appear that anyone has been hurt and that we have been spared the worst what could have been a truly devastating ordeal.
Radio Cayman News, your news as it happens.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Hey, let's live a little, love a lot, and let's laugh even more. So welcome to the studio, a very good friend, Mr. Badir Awi. And thank you.
Thank you too.
All
It's
right.
a pleasure to be here again. Hello, Cayman.
All right. We had some fun, as I was sharing with you, and thank you for taking you. Isn't it amazing, man? I hope my, employer and future employers, if that ever happens, that I change, or my employees, if I ever get to that stage again, don't see this in the wrong way. But I see work as sort of like a prison work release program, You have to be at work by a certain time. You're expected to do certain things. You can't leave before a certain time. When you go, you got to come back with his lunch. So it's like a work release, a prisoner parole work release program. That's how work is, right? So thank you for taking your lunch hour and coming over here. Thank you to your employer for allowing you, if you're a bit delayed with traffic, to be understanding. Thank you very much. I say that sincerely.
Yeah, man, and thank you too, for having me, because everyone loves this show, and I love to be on the show as well.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks, man. And I wanted today to be little bit different. I want it to be, well, I look at life and I laugh. I love life. I thank God every day for breath, for health. Sometimes I laugh with people and joke, and they're like, they're not funny. I say, well, is I laughing? You can miss it on it too, right? But we fail to appreciate what it is. So with today, we talk about, love in that all-encompassing sense. I like how you put it, relationship dynamics. We thank some of our sponsors and our partners coming on board and say, why not show some love? And it's not about promotion, it's about celebration, right? So I'll share with you and those who just joined us. We asked the question, what do relationships have in common with algebra? A gentleman called in, a very, very honorable, notable gentleman, said, all sides have to be equal, which is true. I want to share with you some other answers that came through on WhatsApp. So the answer to the question is balance. This one wrote in and say, is that the answer always that we're trying to find the unknowns, right? Good answers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sound like that talk show thing.
Some real symbolic thinkers out there.
They must be listening to you, man. Where was it? Someone else wrote in something else. Boy, I love technology, but I believe I need to get a bigger screen. Somebody said that the answer is because love is blind. Two or three people put that in.
How does that relate to algebra?
How does that relate to algebra, right? Okay, so I'll ask the question again if anybody wants to answer it. But what would you answer to that question? Just your perspective. What do relationships have in common with algebra?
They're complicated.
Yeah? Okay. No.
But they can be solved.
They can be solved.
But they're complicated.
All right. How about I give the answer? Anybody? You got 10 seconds to call in. If not, I'll give the answer. What do relationships have in common with algebra? I got to know other ones. Can't promise you that these are all the good ones, though, right? But some friends have said, ask some of these riddles, because love is a particular thing, right? My good friend, he likes to imitate the way we West Beers talk, right? And he will ask the question, the fair part of the ocean, where the boy meets the girl, the buoy meets the girl, right? Whatever. Mm-hmm. The boy and the girl. He thought it was funny. I told him he should call in and ask and answer it. All right, so what do relationships have in common with algebra? The answer that was offered up, right? This is the answer, the known answer we would accept for the correct prize. See if, as Mr. Fox vets this question before I answer it, let me see if this caller will answer it for us. Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Happy Valentine to you and the gentleman who is there is you.
Same to you, sir.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thanks, man. Thanks. But you call him a gentleman? You must be a kind fellow, man.
Yes, and also happy Valentine's to my dear wife and my family.
Yes,
but it's also my brother or Mrs. birthday today. And the Minister Tyler is her father's also. It's his birthday. He's the same day, the same month, the same year as my brother. Honest. With regards to the algebra thing, we got to remember that for an equation to be solved or solvable, the algebraic sums of both sides must be equal to 0. That's the only way it can be truly solved, if you think about it. Both sides, the algebraic sum, must be equal to 0.
Yeah.
But that is just giving you, I guess, the proper mathematical terminology.
There you go.
How it relates to love on Valentine, I guess the person who said that both sides are equal is right. That's when you have it solved.
There you go.
But there it is. That's the solution, I guess. Both sides equal. But the algebraic sum of both sides, in other words, the minuses and the pluses, when you subtract them by carrying more from one side to the next, then it must be, if I say 4 plus 4 minus 4 plus 4 is equal to 0. And if you take it over to the other side, then you'll see that it's equal when you add them up.
Yeah, man.
It'll be 0. If you get a minus 4 and a plus 4 and so forth and take it across. But I'm just saying that, equal would be the best bet as far as love and relationships are concerned.
All right.
That we both have equal standing. Have a wonderful day again.
Thank you
Happy
too, sir.
Valentine to all.
And to all, exactly. Thank you very much. Again, deep thinkers, right? Here was the answer we were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So what do relationships have in common with algebra? Answer.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't you ever had an ex and wondered why? Paul is like,
it's profound.
Profound. I mean, people thinking, but sometimes the answer is in the asking. No, I love the fact that we can laugh at times and reflect on certain things, right? And we can be very profound. We can say, like if I was asked a question, as this one has sent to us, say, what's the answer to this, right? It says, I can be blind, I can be powerful. I can be difficult, deep, complicated, and tender at the same time. What am I? Hint, this is Valentine's Day, right? So, but there, what am I? I can be blind, I can be powerful. I can be difficult, deep, complicated, and tender. Or my best way to say tender at the same time. What am I? See,
It sounds like Paul's definition of love in Corinthians.
In Corinthians, love.
A whole list of adjectives.
Yep. Love. The answer is love, right? And I think, when yesterday we were looking at sort of today's production, I said at the closing, remember all the forms of love. Remember all the people that new sort of relationship that is 50 years in the making, that loved one who was passed on, and you still remember that as if it was just the other day. The wonderful poet and published author and my good friend Leonard Dilbert was here earlier, and he said, remember the widows, all right? And so we do it. So our friend sent in this one and said, well, come on now, don't get too serious now. So he asked this question to be answered. He says, how can a married couple who absolutely despise each other, right? They're at that brink of separation. How can they enjoy a romantic dinner, their favorite drink, their best meal, appetizer, dessert, and all the works at the same restaurant? I mean, think about it. What do you think?
I have a feeling this is a funny joke again.
Well, hopefully. I give you that's Budir Awi, and he turn the tables on him because he usually, behind the camera. So they put you in the spotlight.
So what's the answer for this one? I want to know.
They go on different days, man. What best way? Two people that really not make it anymore, but it's their favorite restaurant. They want to go for a wonderful evening and enjoy their favorite meals and drink and what have you. In a nice setting overlooking perhaps the North Sound as it is. I mean, we can't go together, right? So they go separate. All right, but talk to us. Relationships, the dynamics of relationships, the world according to Budir, is all his experience, study, and intrigue. What are your thoughts, man? Because I've always admired not just your intellect and the candidness, but the respectful way that you share about the wonderful discipline that you will exhibit with going and reading and researching and the like. And sometimes we can learn a lot from others if we just be willing to listen, to participate. So the world according to Budir, their relationships 101.
Yeah. Well, for me, what is really key in relationships is realizing that men and women are different.
Mm.
I think a lot of men have certain expectations of women that are based on their own paradigm. And I think it's the same. Women as well also have certain expectations of men that's based on their paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not accurate as to the other partner's
Mm-hmm.
own paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
The famous book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I mean, just the title alone gets to that point. It's a very famous book and a very good book. I read that one. And
for yourself or someone read it to you?
Me and a girlfriend at the time read it together, actually. But it was, but I think, that's an important thing. I think that's overlooked.
Yeah.
I think we expect people to act as we expect and not as they expect. So I think that's key. And a lot of the reasons I've been doing lately have been based on evolutionary psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And it points to ways that men have evolved and the ways that women have evolved. And they have evolved together, but they have evolved differently.
Mm-hmm.
And our physical, chemical makeup is different. Men have 16 times more testosterone than women, for instance. And these physiological differences also add up to a psychological difference. So I think for me, that's one of the key things of where we are now in modern society is maybe using science to understand the opposite sex better. They're different than us.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we're attracted to them.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot publicly again. I've been trying to get you to come in, but I know you've been busy. To specifically talk about this, because it is a dynamic. I wonder sometimes about the world in which we live. How at one time we were politically correct, and how seemingly a lot of things that have been happening in the last, even just recent years, has perhaps changed our ability to interact with one another. Not only that we should, honestly, be a little more mindful of what we say and do, but how easy it is that we are oblivious to our body language and the things we do. Maybe because it's habitual. But this notion of men and women being different, men, you said, are evolving. Are we improving?
Well, I mean, if you look at the evolution of life, I think it's always improving. You know, I think, I mean, I look at it from a creational perspective and God creating the universe through evolutive means. And his intention is to perfect the universe, as we know, and to bring it to completion. So, yeah, I believe we are improving. And I think, you know, a lot of what science has to teach us can help us improve our relationships.
All right. I think there's a recent study from the NASA scientists. I skimmed across it the other day. I probably will go back to read it some more if I can find the actual study and not just somebody's interpretation and a published little thing. But it seemed to have shared that this notion that we had before, that there was this violent, massive sort of colliding, that this is how everything came into being, the planets, that now it's much more gentle. It was put together, so to speak. And they've now, according to this report, the NASA scientists have said, listen, what you thought before isn't wrong. We now have it correct. You know, it was gentle. That speaks to what I would think, the gentleness of God in God's creating what we have here. He didn't just throw it in, it was this horrendous thing. It was careful, meticulous, deliberate, by design. Well, what do you think? You know, when we look at male and female and how different we are, but how much alike, how much love is part of our being. It brings us together or divides us?
You know, I mean, in terms of the creation of the universe, for me, I've always been a science and religious person. And I'm not sure about the study that you're talking about, the gentle creation. But for me, whenever I read Let There Be Light, scripturally, the scientific analogy to that was the Big Bang.
Okay.
You know, for me, those were the same concepts, really. Let there be light, Big Bang.
Yeah.
The Big Bang was a flash of light, right? So for me, that's kind of how I always looked at
and not revelation, not let there be light in here, let me present something to you. You saw it as being a colliding, the Big Bang?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, not to say that there is not a symbolic meaning to that as well.
No, fair enough. All right. And this is why I think dialogue, especially the public discourse, is so important, as long as we're civil and respectful and willing to. This is why I think public presentations, university settings, forum where you can assemble, town halls, other sort of wider spaces. Picture the wide open space where people can come. Maybe there's music, poetry, and you can talk and then you can engage. Not unlike, you know, what Leonard Dilbert was sharing earlier. Red Sky at Night, he's going to be reading poetry. But as an audience, don't just come and listen. Come and participate. You yourself, you know, have a public engagement. Come and, you know, not just challenge what's being said, but take away. What do you think? I mean, are we there as a people? Do we still see those gatherings as that's for, you know, over there, not for here, wherever and whatever over there means to us? What do you think?
I think Cayman has changed. You know, I think we're far more open to these public discussions and ideas that sort of come out of left field than we used to be.
All right. Let me ask, all right, another question riddle, offer up a prize to reflections. All right, gift certificate to reflections. The answer, you get a gift certificate to reflections. We're told that men, come back to your perspective, you know, sometimes we paint men as a certain way. So this one, in the spirit of Valentine's, so that's the hint. So, you know, why did the man, the husband, right? Why did the husband ask his wife for a map? You want to venture the possible answer for that? 1-800-534-8255. Call and answer it correctly. We have a gift certificate for Reflections for you. Why did the husband ask his wife for a map? What do you think, Badir? Come on now.
I'll leave it up to the callers.
Callers? All right, next caller. Hey, listen, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Compliments of Reflections. A gift certificate, we want to offer it up to you. Why did the husband ask his wife for a map? Wouldn't mind getting a few people taking the opportunity to answer that, to see where we're thinking, because we make jokes about marriage so many times. So the man isn't complete until he's married and he's finished. We talk about the 3 rings of marriage, the engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the suffering. but do we actually look at the beauty of it and the love that can be in it? That thing that those two people share, lifelong soulmates who are willing, right, to be able to experience each other and to be, open, uninhibited, in a safe, consensual way. However you want to explore that. What beauty that must be. Two people, we see the friends, right? They travel and they just have a wonderful friendship. There's nothing more than just a great friendship. That's a beautiful thing. Imagine if that's, husband and wife, lifelong partners, and they travel in the world, they raise the family, they're going through thick and thin. That must be a beautiful thing, huh?
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, in theory.
In theory. All right.
We do see it out there. There are definitely some couples who have amazing relationships.
Okay. All right, well, we'll find out. We have some other prizes. We also want to ask, of you, share with us, some stories of long-lasting love. We got gift certificates we want to give out. And the question, if you answer correctly, gift certificate from Reflections says, why did the man ask his wife, why did the husband ask his wife for a map? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
ValueMed Pharmacy is your community care partner for health and wellness needs. We offer convenient prescription processing at the counter and online at value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com, with pickup available at the Walkers Road or Boddentown location. We also accept transfer prescriptions from other pharmacies. More than just a pharmacy, shop ValueMed for personal care and beauty products from trusted brands, perfume and gift sets, Hallmark and greeting cards, baby clothes, footwear, handbags, swimwear, home decor, toys, school supplies, and stationery. And home convalescence aids like wheelchairs, walkers, crutches, canes, and hospital beds. With 2 locations to serve you, Walkers Road in Georgetown and in Evron Plaza, Boddentown. Visit ValueMed, more than just a pharmacy.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman will be holding a prostate and colon cancer awareness meeting at the John Gray Memorial United Church Hall in West Bay on Tuesday, February 18th at 7:30 p.m. Free PSA testing will be available along with a presentation by guest speaker Dr. Shillingford. PSA testing will be done by Royal Medical and Wellness Center. For more information on prostate and colon cancer awareness, join the Lions Club of Grand Cayman on Tuesday, February 18th at 7:30 p.m. at the John Gray Memorial United Church Hall in West Bay.
Would you like free roses this Valentine's Day? Buy a gift that can be cherished forever from Island Jewelers. And the roses are on us today. That's right. We'll buy the roses. Spend $350 US at any Island Jewelers and receive half dozen red roses from Celebrations for free. Island Jewelers is located in the Island Plaza under Margaritaville, Camana Bay, the airport, Kimpton Seafire, and Ritz-Carlton. Show her you love her today, forever, and always with Island Jewelers.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
The 2020 Cayman Arts Festival is here, featuring internationally acclaimed top American brass ensemble, The Rodney Marsalis Philadelphia Big Brass. From the streets of New Orleans to China's National Center for the Performing Arts and now in Cayman. Saturday, February 15th, 7 p.m. at the Marriott Hotel Ballroom. Tickets are $40 for adults and $15 for students. Tickets are available at www.caymanartsfestival.com. For more information, call 922-5550 or email inquiries@caymanartsfestival.com. Event sponsored by Butterfield Bank.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
3 junior officers with the new Cayman Regiment are in Bermuda for the next 3 weeks to begin training with the Royal Bermuda Regiment. His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Martin Roper, tells Radio Cayman government is delivering the Cayman Regiment project at pace in order to ensure the country has a professional, organized team of people on hand to support disaster management response. In international headlines, a second wave of flu is hitting the U.S., turning it into one of the nastiest seasons for children in a decade. The number of child deaths and hospitalization rate for youngsters are the highest seen at this point in any season since the severe flu outbreak of 2009-2010. That's according to health officials today, and they say the wave is expected to keep going for weeks. Experts say it is potentially a bad time for an extended flu season, given concerns about the new coronavirus out of China, which can cause symptoms that can be difficult to distinguish from the flu without testing. Egypt's flu ministry, meantime, has confirmed its first case of the virus in the North African country. In a statement today, a health ministry spokesman said the person was a foreigner who was carrying the virus, but not showing any serious symptoms. Officials say they were able to confirm the case through a follow-up program that the government has implemented.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And we want to share the love, say thanks to the listeners, offer up some fun, hopefully. I'm grateful to my good friend here, Badir Awe, for sitting in, as the creative type. I think it's great to see where you are as we share with you, and you allow us to maybe laugh sometimes at our own expense, but to show love to our listeners. We put a question on the table, got a couple of other questions to ask, and if this person gets it, we'll go to the next question and offer the next person an opportunity equally. So, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Sterling.
Yes, Mom. How are you? Welcome back. Yes, Mom.
Listen. The husband asked the wife for the map so they could both decide on where and when they should go.
You think he would do that? No, he probably said, honey, where you want to go? And he just go.
No.
Think?
No, you want her piece.
You want her contribution? Yeah. I think he want her input, yeah. All right.
That's all right,
No, that's not. You see, we were. This went to the audited committee, and these were specific answers. So I gotta read over.
Sterling.
Yes, Mom.
And I guess it's their liquor store too, right? I
will see.
Want that one anyway.
There you go. But it's not for that. But thanks though. Thanks for having fun. All right.
Yeah, man. I like fun.
Me too, man. Thank you too. All right. Bye. All right. The other caller disconnected. Try back again. Get the reflections. Why did the man or the husband ask his wife for a map? And you know what? If you think that was too hard, call up and we'll ask another one and give you a gift certificate. Fella said why he took his wife to Korea for the anniversary. What do you think, Badir? why that was his present to her on their their anniversary as they celebrate a special occasion.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take a guess on that?
Why did he take her to
Korea? Why he could have went.
Was it North Korea or South Korea?
All right, let's go to South Korea. Make it easy. To South Korea, he said he wanted her to accompany him to Korea because that was an idea. What if I answered it for you?
Tell me.
Again, play on the words, right? Because she was his soulmate. I listen. You might agree with my friends when they say, "Boy, you need to get better friends." But again, it's how in English anyway, how the language is important. And you're talking about the dynamics of relationships and interplay. It's something you shared earlier. Men and women are different, without question, and thankfully, I think the biology is different in terms of different things. I'm not going to shy away from it. If someone wants to get into it, that's up to them. If they'd be willing to share their perspective, as they'd be willing to respectfully, listen to the perspective of somebody else. But you look at sometimes today, and you hear people say about chivalry is dead, or there's no need for that anymore. I can open my own door. Okay, fair enough. But on one hand, and then on the other, you have the initial sort of semblance of a relationship where, again, I really don't know. I haven't been, dating and whatever for 35 years. Gee, that's a long time. So I don't know how that came with work, right? You open the door, right? When you first start to, or you pick up the check or whatever it is. But you see that person still doing that 50 years later. You see the open display of affection. Mm-hmm. Respectfully, in a nice way. The hand holding, the embrace, the peck on the cheek, the thing that is still loving, mm-hmm. right? The married couple at the 50th anniversary, as they are on the wedding night, as best as But then today, sometimes you see something different. I don't know. Where do you make this thing that starts out this way, a degree of respect and a degree of what's the word? Romance? A degree of then it becomes something else. I mean, you shaking, sharing. Help us to be guided by your wisdom there.
Well, like I said, I look at relationships from an evolutionary dynamic, and I think chivalry finds a place in an evolutionary dynamic because historically, men have a sort of nurturing feeling for women. Mm-hmm. Men naturally want to protect women. If you put a woman crying on the street, men will go out there to figure out who made her cry and let's go beat them up. Right? It's a natural inborn instinct men have to protect women. I think chivalry comes from that. And I think the evolutionary part of it is that men recognize that women play a special role in life. Mm-hmm. They give birth to the future.
To life.
And to life. Mm-hmm. And as such, we have a natural respect and appreciation and protection for that. And I think that's what chivalry expresses, the simple gestures of opening doors, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that chivalry should not go anywhere. I think that's natural to who we are. And I think if it is missing from a modern society, I think it has to do with at one point, women were very dependent on men. Mm-hmm. Financially, resourcefully, and I think that's changed. Right now, women are in the workplace; they're up there with men. They can make their own money, they can provide their own resources. So the question has become: well, is chivalry now dead because of that? Right? I don't think so, because I think it's in our DNA. Whether a woman is making more money than us or not, we still want to be chivalrous to women.
All right,
and I think they want us to be chivalrous to them.
Huh. I'm going to ask you what women want. Right? You can be Tyler Perry about this. We do have a call online, though. Let's go to the phones. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
And good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to your guests.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you today? Happy Valentine's.
And the same to you, and the same to Badir. I don't have an answer, but I just wanted to call in to wish Radio Cayman staff, Mr. and especially DJ Lynn. I wish for him a speedy recovery.
Amen.
And Mr. Badir, I know that you have all sisters because my son and especially Amini were in the same class together, graduated together.
Okay.
So you can guess who I am.
Yes, well.
And I want to wish my dear friends, especially Dawn and Naomi, they're two sisters, and both is not doing all that great, but I wish them all the best and a speedy recovery as well. And my son Patrick and my husband Peter for a happy Valentine. And you guys, but there you got a whole lot of sisters to give to, so you better start. and I wish you all the best, and I thank God for helping me and granting me life to see another Valentine, even though we were not great keepers of Valentine's Day, but all of a sudden it's all there now. So I still thank God for the grace of letting me see another one, and I wish you all the best, and don't forget to buy for wives and mothers, especially mothers and sisters, because you might end up getting beat up if you don't get them something. Foster's has beautiful flowers. I just stopped by there just now. Oh my goodness, they got some beautiful flowers and beautiful arrangements. Thank you all, and a good day to you. Thanks for listening to me too.
Thank you very much.
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's. Well, it's amazing, and some of the friends who are listening are really enjoying this. This one says, sent me through this thing. One or two I can't read on here. Just two. But let's take this other caller. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon again.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
welcome back.
I take a stab at that one.
Yes, sir.
The map thing, I would presume it's so that he would know where he's at with her.
Good luck on that one.
He's here, she's there, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The map.
He would know where he's at with her. I don't know if that makes sense, but
at risk of getting in trouble with every woman, you think a man would ever know where he's at with her? I mean, as an encyclopedia might be.
Well,
of course it's possible.
I'll tell you something. An old gentleman told me, he's of German descent, many years ago, knew him very well, and he's long gone home to reward now, wonderful person. He said to me, Mick, this is over 54 years ago, so he said, as far as it's concerned with a woman, when you are right, just remember this all your life. As a man, remember, he said, when you're right, you're wrong. And when you're wrong, you're double wrong. As long as you're to take that sort of attitude with you'll make it. Mm-hmm. Have a wonderful day, gentlemen. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Have Valentine's Radio Cayman crew again, too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You too.
Wonderful job. They all do. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. It's amazing, how relationships are, and to watch people. Long ago, I was traveling, and there was a couple sitting next to the table, and it was because of the relative small space, very crowded. It was impossible not to hear some of what was being said. I mean, our tables were almost joining. But equally because of maybe the challenges of hearing, they were talking a bit loud, and now and again they would engage us. Discovered that they were celebrating their 75th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Right? in chatting with them, you got a bit of a story that they emigrated from part of Europe, following a particular war, and they came over, and finally they reunited and the like. And it was touching. It was sad, and it was unfortunate because a lot of their friends had since passed on. They were in a nice retirement community. They still had a degree of independence. Thankfully, the gentleman said, they had financial security, but their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, whatever, weren't around as much for different reasons. And here is, this man and this woman who are celebrating 75 years of marriage, been through so much, and yet there was a love, all right, that was amazing. And I was watching, and it was one meal that they were sharing, and at first I thought, okay, maybe it's financially. Then I realized afterwards it was two things. The two of them couldn't eat that much because at that age they no longer really wanted, but that's what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But in observing, it was the sweetness. You ever share a meal with somebody and you feed them, you still see it. And I thought, wow, that would be kind of cool. I look at my own parents, 60, 70 years of marriage. I don't know how long that should notice, right? A long time of marriage, almost 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
You go through so much, you embrace it, man. That's a beautiful thing, man. The good and the bad, the ups and the downs. But life is good, man.
Life is good. That communal aspect that you're talking about there too.
Yeah.
That's a very Christian concept as well. Obviously, the communion and sharing at that around the table. I think it's just as important for couples to have their individuality as well. Because remember, attraction is a force, It's a physical force that pulls the two elements together, right? When you get the north and south pole of a magnet, and you put them close to each other, you can feel that force, that attraction that wants to pull them together, right?
Okay.
And I think what happens if you rub the north and south continuously against each other? The attraction loses, and the tension is lost. And to get that attraction back, you need to separate them.
Okay. So after the break, can I ask you about that? That sometimes we are at the risk. Let me rephrase that. Do we run the risk of we getting lost in our partner's world and life, and then it becomes evident when there's a separation, either by death or otherwise, and then the other doesn't know how to cope? Or can you, in supporting each other and still maintain an identity but still maintain a semblance? In particular, are we at risk of growing apart? Right? Okay. The answer to the question, why did the husband ask his wife for a map? He got lost in her eyes. Come on, people. This is love. Now, as you go to
He's a real romantic, everyone.
With that in mind, the question of my friend sent me through, ask this one. Why did the cannibal break up with his Valentine? Come on, the cannibal? He said, because simply she didn't suit his taste. Gonna pause and take a break. When they come back, more talk today.
Dominion Life Global Ministries invites you to their first anniversary prophetic convention. Theme, I Must Recover. February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall, featuring Apostle Joseph Jogona, Thursday and Friday, 7 until 9:30, and Sunday, 1 until 3:30, with an elegant Valentine's soiree on Saturday the 15th. If you need more information on the convention or to purchase tickets to the soiree, call 326-0744. The Dominion Life Global Ministries first anniversary convention, February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall.
Mary Ann Radmacher once said, as we work to create light for others, we naturally light our own way.
Calling all SIXA members. The Cayman Islands Civil Service Association annual general meeting for the Sister Islands is Thursday, February 20th in Cayman Brac at the District Administration Building in Stake Bay in the conference room located on the second floor starting at 12:15 p.m. A light lunch will be provided.
Come out and vote for your two BRAC representatives who will serve on the 2020 Management Council. Hear the President give his annual report, ask your questions, share your ideas, and make suggestions. You can also email your questions in advance of the meeting to cicsa@gov.ky. There will also be a door prize raffle of a Cayman Airways voucher, and the first 35 persons to sign in at the meeting will get a free gift.
Members, please make every effort to attend this very important CICSA annual general meeting for the Sister Islands on the BRAC Thursday, February 20th at the District Administration Building in Stake Bay in the conference room located on the second floor starting at 12:15 p.m.
Would you like free roses this Valentine's Day? Buy a gift that can be cherished forever from Island Jewelers. And the roses are on us today. That's right. We'll buy the roses. Spend $350 US at any Island Jewelers and receive half dozen red roses from Celebrations for free. Island Jewelers is located in the Island Plaza under Margaritaville, Camana Bay, the airport, Kimpton Seafire, and Ritz-Carlton. Show her you love her today, forever, and always with Island Jewelers.
So far, more than 175 Cayman parrot owners have registered their birds with the Department of Environment.
That's good, but we know it's not all of them.
You have until February 29th to sign up to register your parrot.
Unregistered Cayman parrots found in captivity after that will be considered illegal.
Remember, registration allows you to legally keep your bird. We don't want to take away anyone's pet.
So do what's right.
Register your Cayman parrot and help us protect our national bird.
For more information, contact the Department of Environment.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Today, thank you so much for joining us in the studio. Badr Avi joins us. And, how quickly the afternoon has gone. Before we continue, I think Fox says we got a call in the queue. Let's go to the phones. Welcome. Thanks for sharing.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. And I didn't hear who your guest was.
Well, I have the accent coming in with Badr Avi. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, you talking about love today?
We can talk about love,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's talking about Valentine, and I said, I guess it's something that we all do when we're young and we get all better to shape, but falling in love, and the passion takes over, and we kind of think that's love, but no, the thing is that I'm so happy that we recognize the people who are married and stuff. Like I recognize their spouses or that they're in love and your girlfriend or boyfriend or something like that. You should recognize, because women do get enough credit for all the things that they do. And I remember growing up and how when times were tough, how my dear mother, God bless her soul, she's up in heaven now. And when my father was at home and how hard she had to work to just put food on the table, and because there was, my father, all he knew was, something you would see. He could grow up some potatoes or, stuff like that too. But I'm talking about how the women were left with all the responsibility basically to provide for the family while the husbands were home. And something that really makes me proud today is that when my mother and father got up in age, and I loved them both of them, and I remember when I guess my mom knew that she was going to pass on. That's one thing I can figure. But she had a talk with Dad, my father, and told him that, now when I'm gone from here, you make sure you find a good woman to look after you. And I wonder how many people do that. How many married people say that to their husbands, that if she goes before him, she won't, That says to me more than anything else that when you love someone, these are things these are some of the things people would say. And I pray, oh God, that all of us here in Cayman would start thinking about who we are, what we have on this island, and let's not follow everything you see on TV or everything you hear on the radio that tells you this is the thing and we got to follow it because that's the trend.
I noticed that we're doing a lot of, it's getting very trendy now. But I wish all of my friends and their wives and husbands happy Valentine's Day. And there's a young lady that works there at the phone. What's her name again?
Out here, Radio came on?
Right, on Radio came on.
Yeah, Susan?
I'm just kidding. Yes.
Hey, you'd like to hear me say her name.
I want to wish my sweetheart Susan a good, happy Valentine's Day. And God bless you all.
And blessings to you, man.
You too.
Thank you. All right. But it is, I think, a wonderful reminder on days like this that love can be more encompassing. It can be about the communal love, and it can be lasting, but it can also be fleeting. Now, next Thursday evening, I would like very much if I, could to be a part of. I understand you having an evening at Arts Nest.
That's correct.
Share with us, man.
Yeah, so next week, Thursday, at 7 p.m. at Art Nest, I'll be having a discussion on the nature of masculinity and femininity from an evolutionary perspective. And I think, the people that come will learn a little bit about the biology and the psychology of both men and women and understand better how the opposite sex works so that they can be more attractive to the opposite sex, so that they can show their love to the opposite sex in a more efficient manner.
Efficient. I like the way you use that word.
Very mechanical. Maybe that isn't the right word, the precise word. But I mean, again, it's a way of, because when you're expressing love for somebody else, it's about the other person. It's not about you. What does the other person want?
So be of service. Then give of yourself totally.
Like even the caller just said, the wife. I mean, that's completely, rejecting self and wanting the husband to have another woman who could take care of him when she's gone.
All right. Let me then flip it. I remember long ago hearing in a similar setting where they talked about being, and maybe I misinterpret the word, maybe I misused the word, but being of service. You give all to your partner, and your partner gives all. So each gives, and you some active service. Hopefully that's interpreted the way I mean it to, so that there's nothing left, and then everybody has everything. That's kind of what you're sharing in a sense, from what I hear you. You don't hold back. You devote yourself to this person, the person to you. I think of that and look at the couple that I was talking about earlier, 75 years. There is no question that there is a dependency, one on the other. There's an interdependence, but there's still a love that is evident. But people, they grow apart. So the mechanical, the scientific, are you saying love is science as well as art, or is it more biological, more science?
I think it encompasses everything, right, at the end of the day. And, God himself is love and encompasses everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
So as we close out, and I want people to perhaps look at this day as a way to be mindful that, like the day itself, here today, gone today, that thing that you cherish, that you love, may no longer exist, either because it fades or because you yourself. So what do we then, as a society, as a people, do to show our love, our appreciation, our respect, our value for this thing that we call love? How do we define it? And how do we, portray it?
Well, Christ himself said, I did not come to be served. I came to serve.
Okay.
Christ wasn't married, by the way.
Yeah.
But so I think that's it. I think we have to learn to love, not in the way that we want, but in the way that the other person wants, which is very difficult to do. And I think with this discussion that I'm having next week Thursday, I'm going to outline some of the ways that women expect to be loved, because men don't get it. We don't get it, and also women don't get men's perspective. That's why a lot of women will say, "Oh, men need to open up more and talk about their feelings." Women. The reason women say that is because that's how they operate.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily how men operate.
Yeah.
But so we have to kind of come out of ourselves and recognize that the other person, the other self, by expressing what they want is the best way to express love, not the way I want or the way that feels natural to me.
So 2 things: the love languages. Then those who are familiar with would recognize that there is this
exactly
thing, if you know. And then, if I can, if you're willing, just one example of that thing that would demonstrate how a woman wants to be loved that men don't understand, and then equally the way men would want the women to understand. One example of each, or should we wait till Thursday and find out?
Let's see if we can hash something out real quick.
All right.
We'll just use the opening up one. I think it's very important. This is a good one, yeah. Women love to talk. It's very important as a man to listen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to talk back, but you have to listen. You can't just pretend to listen because she's going to know if you're pretending to listen or not. So you really have to listen. I think and it's not easy to do as men to sit there and listen.
Yeah.
But if you really want to show your love, you should listen to your significant other. And the opposite side is true as well. What do men value that women don't quite understand? Silence. Right? And as a woman, if you really want to show that love for your man, you must understand you have to give him silence. It's not easy for a woman to do.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not just as it's not easy for us to listen. But I mean that's an easy one, but it's definitely
profound.
A big struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And listening, we can figure it out in communication classes, but active listening is taxing. To listen to someone, to understand, to actually make an effort to listen, that is tiring.
Yes, it is. It's work.
And I'm now having hear you say that. I realized the comment from someone the other day, "Oh, you're a good listener." I didn't quite, it was a nice comment. I understand what you meant, but now I see the context. Because sometimes the stories are involved. Sometimes the explanations are very detailed. And sometimes it is, with respect, exhausting to listen, to the minutiae. But if you don't, you miss the salient points. And I think the fellowship, the love that you exhibit between, those engagements when you listen. So men, listen.
Don't talk. Just listen.
But then woman, be quiet. Give the man silence.
Can you give him an hour? Is that too much to ask?
Now I asked my wife, there's one space in the house that whenever we ever get to building our dream house, what I want, it's a library. I know how I want it. I know where I want it. Now I understand why I want it.
There you go.
Because it's a library. I love libraries, right? It's the silence, but it's the echoes of the books. It's that thing.
That's where you process your thoughts. That's where men process their thoughts in silence.
Exactly.
Women process their thoughts by talking.
Yeah.
So that's just a little difference. You can learn more next Thursday at Art Nest, 7 p.m.
So 7 p.m. Arts Nest. For those who don't know where Arts Nest is and they want to find the location,
it's
behind. You take the road, you're going to make a right and you come around the back.
Exactly.
Yeah, right there.
Behind Foster's Supermarket by the airport.
Right.
So the Foster's right there by the runway. Behind there, I can't remember the name of the road now.
McLendon?
Sounds right.
Sounds right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Call me and I'll tell you. So 7 p.m. Arts Nest.
Correct.
But there you have a microphone, a stage. You're going to be talking?
Yes.
So we got to listen?
Yes.
Is it engagement?
Exactly. However, we will open the floor for questions at the end.
So 7 p.m.
Yes.
Right.
I've had a few women saying, I'm going to be there and I have a lot of questions for you, buddy. I'm like, great. Bring it on.
But there, my boy, I hope you have answers.
I'm ready.
Well, listen, thank you for dropping in. And again, thank you for taking some time. And to our listeners, going to show the love throughout the rest of this month of February. And if you have, privately, you want to ask me a question, you want explanation, you want to chastise me, maybe subscribe to the notion, compliment in public, chastise in private. You can do that if you want to. Otherwise, hey, that's fine too.
Compliment in public, chastise in private.
Yeah, apparently that was something somebody said somewhere and it was important.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, huh? Yeah.
We all kind of do that.
Oh man, but I can't tell you there are many things that are as important as genuinely loving others, having a strong sense of self, the self-esteem, the love that you have. So you take pride in who you are. You try to be the very best. You give the most of yourself. Hopefully people don't take advantage of it all the time, but if everybody gives everything, nobody will go without. And it's simple.
It's in giving that you receive.
It's in giving that you receive. And maybe as I go about, maybe I start to embrace more the love that is there. Yeah, thanks much, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much, too.
All right.
All right.
Next Thursday, man. Join Badir, because I want to hear about it come Friday. Well, Ray and I will have see what I say next Friday. I think that's the plan. I need to check Ray, see what he's saying. But I'm going to hear about this, and you will allow me to publicly again ask you to find time in your busy schedule, because I want to talk about some of these things, man. Get your insight, your perspective.
Definitely.
All
I'm
right?
always down.
Always down? But there I'll be. All right, enjoy it. For those of you who had a chance to pick up some of our sort of measures of appreciation, come by and get your tickets. We're going to show, more of that love for the rest of the month. Until Monday, be blessed.